Yeah,
So good. I'm doing good. I like the new do. I like it. Getting ready for spring, summer for you, I guess, right?
absolutely. Gonna
So yeah.
I'm gonna be reflective. I gotta blind the other buyers from deals.
Well, now I don't have to wear my hat. So Jovi can't complain about my bald head shining on the screen. I'll be the only one. But last week, Zuber did a daily financial news, and he was talking about a kind of video article he saw Cody Sanchez post about AI coming and kind of the one skill you're gonna need by 2030. So basically, her post or her video talks about the most valuable skills being sales, and part of it is communicate, build relationships and follow up, right? But for you, I mean, are you seeing AI being kind of disruptive, or are you kind of paying attention to it? Or what's your thoughts on AI right now?
I use it a lot to learn how to do certain things. So I'm using it outside of business. I use it to learn cooking. Inside of business, I use it to structure my thoughts. I have the paid program, and so I do the talk feature, not talk to text, but the talk to talk. So it talks back and forth with me, and yeah, it's these comments are pretty funny. We're gonna have to start a new accountability call. Oh yeah, but I'm using it to scale my business for sure. It helps me get organized, which is something I'm not super skilled at, and organizing my thoughts, most importantly, is really helpful.
I think the last thing, where was it? And Zuber wanted to add one thing, or on the Daily Financial News, he added a fourth thing to what Cody Sanchez was saying. He was saying the ability to handle stress, right? So I think a lot of that is, people are kind of worried about AI and what are they going to do, and are they going to be even like rentals. I think people are wondering what's going to happen with real estate, and is people that are tenants are going to be able to pay rent if they don't have jobs. And so there's a lot of I guess confusion around AI. But do you see it being as doom and gloom maybe, or as it opportunities?
Well, uh, I use it to create opportunities. However, a tool is only as useful as the person using it, right? Like if you just let the hammer sit there, it doesn't do anything. So if people embrace it, they will be able to take advantage of more opportunities than if they wait a decade. I believe that because then it'll probably be more customary to use it. So using it on the front end is probably going to be more advantageous to get like a one up on someone else or get ahead a little faster. But it's a tool. I don't think it's going away, and so it'd be better. The better question is how could we all use it to create opportunities rather than be doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think to wrap it up a little bit, that's kind of where the focus was the AI is coming, and sales is that skill that everyone is should have, probably needs to work on, and kind of to where, by 2030, this is that one skill that's going to translate the most. So for you, it seems like, a lot of your deals are always creative finance, things like that, right? So was sales, or being strong in sales, always something you were involved in growing up, or is it kind of evolved over time into real estate portfolio?
Definitely not. Part of being a salesperson, you got to be willing to embarrass yourself and put yourself out there. Those two things are not how I lived as a kid. So I really had to push myself out of my comfort zone, 19, 20 years old through 21. I was embarrassed. I was worried about what people were going to think about me if I was trying certain things or trying certain pitches. Because you got to imagine, I was going from absolute introvert to I jumped into Grant Cardone's trainings, and his stuff's really out there. Like it's way over here, and I was way over here. And so I was complete opposites. And that helped me overcome being nervous talking to people.
I see Gus tuning in. He says Cody is a new man. But yeah, I think to Cody Evers' point, he says, I think AI would change things slowly. I don't think it'll be overnight, probably take 20 years to really matter, similar to internet from 1995 dial up to smartphones. I definitely kind of, that's kind of my sentiment, but I think it almost kind of just goes back to the old of ownership, right? As far as if you own things, you own assets, you will pretty much be somewhat okay, for the most part. But that's what you have to do, right? Is have ownership. You just can't rely on your job anymore as paying your bills and making you financially free to some extent. So, kind of going back a little bit to the sales side of things, sales side of things. The number one thing was like communication, right? And you kind of touched on a little bit being a introvert, somewhat. So has that been a struggle for you, or you pretty much just found that you're just being yourself, and then kind of not everyone maybe works well with your communication skills?
Communication is really important. Yeah. You have to become really good at communication if you want to be an entrepreneur. I'd say if you're just working in a standard 9 to 5, that may not be the case. But even in a 9 to 5, if you want to progress, effective communication is the most efficient path. So it's important regardless of where you're at. You got to know how to structure the things that you say, phrasing, positioning, because you could say the same thing to someone slightly different way and it's going to be received better. And so being able to communicate out, but also receive communication in is really important on that note. Because if you can't take in information productively, then you're not going to get very far.
What do you think like elite communication actually looks like today? Is it kind of like public speaking, storytelling, short form content, or negotiation skills?
I built the majority of my business, so I can only share what I experienced through storytelling and through other people's stories. That's how I built the whole business that I built. The real estate business way back when I did the coaching thing for a while with multifamily strategy, I like that was all through storytelling. So that is for my experience, the most valuable skill or ability to share is connecting through stories.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's really helpful, especially when you have the experience. And I think that's um, someone mentioned that about kind of the school community. It's a place of people doing it that sharing what they're doing. So it's like you're saying, everyone is kind of almost sharing their story and journey. And that's why a lot of people are being able to relate to it, or pick up a lot of good information there. I guess quickly, someone's asking if you enlisted, Cody. Where did it go? James asked that. Did Cody enlist?
No, I did not.
So let's see. Can someone build wealth today without learning how to speak confidently?
There's a lot of people who build wealth quietly. It would just be helpful if you had more money. Everything you want, someone else has. That's the truth. So you have to go talk to those people. That's what I've found to be true. If you identify what you want, figure out who has it, go connect with those people and learn how they got it.
So is written communication becoming more important than verbal? I mean, I think AI is kind of changing that a little bit, right? With like written communication, it's easy to emails, polish it up and change it a little bit, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be good anymore, which is interesting, by the way. I'm wondering how people's communication skills are going to degrade over the next decade.
That is true, and I think that's what's going to make even in-person communication even more valuable, right? It's like you're saying, it's going to degrade to some point because people are using a lot of AI to write documents or write communication emails, and now in-person communication is going to be a lot more important. Flavio is asking, Cody, do you think AI will replace property management?
No, I think AI will be a tool that property managers use, but I do not see that completely replacing the property management business.
And to that point, I think I also saw there was a post on X, I think a poll, someone was asking, will AI replace realtors? What do you think about that?
Oh man, I'd see less arguments about NAR on my Facebook feed. That'd be
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
So
because I think a lot of people already are using AI for big part of their property searching or transactions, right? They're already doing a lot of research that way, finding deals. So in reality, yeah, I definitely could see AI really taking a big hit to the realtor side of things.
the question is, when a mistake's made, who does the blame fall on? It's like the self-driving car. You're still liable as of right now, I believe, if it hits someone else's car. So it's like if you're an agent and you're trusting something to put it together completely, or you're a buyer and you trust to put it together completely and it messes up something because the wrong input was put in or it wasn't noted the right way, who's the liability fall on when earnest money goes away?
Very true. So even like I think Cody ever said earlier, it's going 20 years will probably come fast, but it's also going to probably be 20 years before AI fully starts replacing a lot of these things. I think it's going to be definitely a slow progression to that point. What about so now relationship building was another big component of sales, right? So like in a world of automation, does human connection become a premium skill?
Of course, human connection is, that's what it's all about.
So, yeah, so even like call center, right? Even when you're calling in for whatever you have to do, like let's say it's a warranty or something on the phone, right? You can never get to a real person anymore, right? So you got all these AI automated prompts, and I'm sure it definitely helps these companies save money. But when you're the one calling in, it definitely is very frustrating to finally try to get a hold of an actual person to help with your issue.
Yeah, businesses are so focused on money that they forget the user experience. And the company that does remember the user experience at the expense of some money, it's going to retain clients better.
Yeah. Are most investors underestimating the power of adding just two meaningful relationships per week, like Zuber recommends?
Yeah, absolutely. I started just trying to reach out to a few people a week, have a couple coffee meetings. And my idea back then, this is before I met Michael, but it was like if I could just have a coffee meeting a week, I'm good. Like I'm gonna do okay. If you're meeting with two people a week or connecting with two people a week that are in the industry you want to be in, yeah, you're gonna likely do pretty good.
Um, ooh, it's a good. What's the difference between networking and actually building relationships?
The follow up, yeah, the follow up is the only main difference I see in that. It's easy to go to an event and connect with people, rub elbows with folks. How many of those folks actually follow up once, twice? Like, if you keep following up, eventually you have a relationship.
That's why Flavio keeps calling you. But no, I think to that point though, that's exactly true, right? So a lot of like even the Vegas event that everyone just went to, you go there, it's a fun time, everyone's connecting, networking. But now what are you doing with those people that you met at the event? So even, people, you presented day one, people that connected with you, and even the teenagers, right? Hopefully they will be following up with you and keeping that relationship and still asking you questions and connecting with you. So that's a great point. So people that did go to the event, hopefully new people that they've met, they're following up and still connecting with them after the event's over with. Um, yes, Ike says, I love the new hairstyle, Cody. Bald is beautiful, and only guys who are jealous will say otherwise. Josh Burdick adds more like 5 to 10 years for AI to have a strong foothold. Interesting. What do you think? Do you think more 5 to 10 years or closer to like 20, like Cody was saying?
Well, if the internet took 20, then it'll be faster than that because the internet wasn't exactly intelligent. Yeah, it's not self-developing, it was getting developed. So I'd say that this is definitely going to go faster.
Well, I think it's also maybe how you look at it, right? So 5 to 10 years, I think, could be like he said, AI to have a strong foothold. So that will be where this kind of maybe short-term pain is going to come into play. But a full 20 years before we really start seeing how AI is going to maybe create better opportunities, right? So these first 5 to 10 years might be kind of that transition phase, jobs being eliminated. But then after the 10 years, it's going to be kind of now we're going to see people using more AI and how are they improving things or creating different jobs or creating different opportunities. But you did touch on it. So after networking, building relationships, follow up, right, is kind of that other skill that probably people do seem to forget, right? So they go to the event, they're not working, they're there to be able to enjoy themselves, and now they get back into their regular, 9 to 5 job, Monday through Friday, and everything just kind of just falls back into the off the table, right? So let's see, how many deals in your time do you think maybe simply didn't go through because someone didn't follow up?
Majority of the deals that fizzled out were due to a lapse in communication, whether that was follow up or not sharing information when it needed to be shared, or sharing information when there's nothing needing to be shared and overcomplicating stuff. So yeah, majority of the deals that fall apart are because of something in that communication realm.
Yeah, I think to that point, I think Dion always touches on that also, right? So a lot of times he may make an offer, may not get accepted, but he lets them know, hey, I'd like to be in second position, or if something falls through, this is still my offer, and so it's kind of his way of setting up a follow up, if so the seller knows that, hey, if something happens, and they have this buyer waiting in the wings. Let's see. Do you think discipline in follow up is more important than charisma?
Yeah, when I got started, I bought a property. It was a sixplex, and part of that story, I would call this owner over and over. And this was before I figured out my strategy. I was just calling. So I was like, "Hey, I bought a sixplex down the street. I'm your neighbor. Would you be open to an offer?" And he'd say no. And then I called him again, and I butchered the call. And then I called him again. He's like, "Oh, I'm not interested." And I called him again, and I said, "Hey, you may or may not remember, I'm that I was the 20-year-old. Now I'm 21. That butchered the call with you. It's pretty awful. You probably hung up on me and laughed with your wife." And he's like, "Yeah, I remember you. What's up?" It's like, "Well, I was trying to buy your place, but you're pretty good on holding it. You've held it for a while. Would you be open to a coffee meeting sometime?" And we met up, and we've kept in touch ever since. He sold me the property after that meeting. He just wanted to meet. So I stumbled my way through that cold call process, but I used the fact that I butchered the call as a touch point, which opened up the call. So
I like that. Yeah.
that worked. I still own the property. I'm working on building 10 townhomes on the back of it right now. So I'm glad I have it.
Hotshot C4049 from your channel is asking, what would be the best way to connect with you, Cody, outside of someone asking you for advice and mentorship? How can a person look to provide you value, build a relationship?
I mean, you could just call me or text me. I feel like my number is pretty public. I preached for like 7 years that everybody's phone number's on Google. That's how I reached out to Jordan Belfort and Bradley and everybody in my sphere. So you can find my phone number pretty easily on Google.
All right. So there is your challenge, Hotshot. If you do the work, go search for Cody, and if you find his number, reach out to him. But if not, I'm sure if you just leave a comment on this video, maybe you guys can connect. But yeah, and maybe you can set up I don't know, Hotshot, what area are you in? Are you in Cody's area, or are you somewhere else? Let's see what else we got. Yeah, so back to kind of getting ready, prepared for AI, sales being that skill for 2030. I think the last one that Zuber added on, the little extra, he added handling stress, right? As kind of that hidden one that maybe people don't realize is going to just be part of the process, right? So is stress tolerance the real separator between an amateur and a professional?
Well, it might separate those who stay in the business longer than a couple years. I mean, it's one thing to start the business, it's another thing to keep running it. Business is hard. A quote from one of my first mentors before he quit. It is hard, but you have to stay in it. You really do have to. So you got to find a way to cope with it. And everyone's going to do it a little different. But it is very important to figure out how you best deal with it, because it is a gift to be able to be stressed out. You think about if it all goes well, like there's going to be a day where all that pressure is gone. In theory, like I haven't gotten there yet. So I keep hearing this from richer, older guys than me and gals that are more experienced in life than I am. But
To that point, I would also add though, not necessarily even richer. Like on paper, I'm sure you're probably more wealthy than Dion on paper, right? But as far as how his portfolio runs, it's much less stress free, right? So even to that point, and I think that's the one thing people sometimes miss is uh, you got to figure out what that end goal is, right? And what we're trying to accomplish through all of this. And I think a lot of it is you're still much younger than a lot of us, so there's still a lot of that um, drive and ambition in your vision of things. And I think, if you were to be, I'm sure you love traveling, but I think if you had Dion's lifestyle right now, you'd probably go crazy after a few months, right?
yeah, I don't know. I haven't done it, so I don't know one way or another. However, yeah, I was just talking to my wife about this, and it's we're basically compressing a few decades of stress and coordination. Like I feel like I'm just a coordinator. I coordinate where the people go, where the debt goes, where the cash goes. And so we're basically compressing decades worth of stress and coordination into 3 more years, because we're 3 years away from the decade of investing. So it's worth it. I truly think it's worth it. So I'm doing stuff for experiences and learning right now. And that's my way of handling the stress. Like, I get to coach gymnastics for fun. I'm getting my MLO to learn a new thing. Like, it diverts my mind from all the stressful stuff that's going on.
Okay. To that point, is there other stuff that you do to, like you're saying, get your mind off of the stress? So you said coaching gymnastics. Is there anything else that you do on the side?
I try and get little wins. Problem is, the little wins, they do relieve stress in the moment, but it's like Tetris. So if you do everything right in Tetris, your line disappears. So if you do poorly, then it all stacks up. And so I let things stack up getting out of the partnerships, because like I just have to get out of the partnerships, got to clear those, make them disappear, complete the line. And now I got to clear the lines that I let build up. So I'm pretty focused on clearing a few things. But that is the problem. It's like you do it and then it out of sight, out of mind. And then there's another row coming down. So
Is stress management trainable, or is it just personality driven?
I think you just have to identify how you handle it and then address it the best you can. I've definitely not handled it the best in the past. Go back a couple years, I was overweight, and then all my hair fell out. A little different. Like, I still have some hair follicles now, but 2 years ago, I was completely bald, like not by choice. So that sucked. So you have to figure out how you best handle it, and I think that just comes with time.
Absolutely agree. I think a lot of that too also is, I think, Zuber touched on it too, his I think he had a discussion with Pace Morby at one point, and that his big takeaway was know thyself, right? And I think it just like anything is kind of knowing what portfolio size you want, what your end goal is, and a lot of that can be helpful in alleviating some of the stress, right? I mean, it's never going to be stress free, like you're saying, right? You're gonna you might be able to spread it out over 20 years, or you can compress it into 10 years and then be over. But you got to figure out what's going to work best for you. And I think that's the biggest thing with knowing thyself. Nick, Bitcoin is here. And no, Cody didn't lose his hair because Bitcoin is going down. But no, but Nick says Mark is rubbing off on his gas. uh, let's see, Jeff, who will be joining us on Wednesday. So I think if people haven't heard and you're interested, reach out to me. But I think on Wednesdays, we're going to try and bring one new school member on with me, Joe, and Lauren, and we can kind of talk about maybe whatever that school member wants to focus on. So Jeff from York, Pennsylvania, who was at the event, will be joining us on Wednesday. Flavio says, Cody, no more fix and flips this year?
Probably not. I just sold one flip and made money, and I have a flip in Oregon that is set to close in less than 2 weeks, and that should make money. That was zero money down, 0% interest, seller finance. So I'm selling that here shortly. But I don't think I'm going to do it again. Just because it makes money doesn't mean it makes sense. And the flips for my business, the money that they generate, it's not big enough to warrant doing it given my problems.
Let's stay right there real quick, because that was one of your videos, I believe, recently, right? You were talking about your flip that you completed, and then you kind of just mentioned it right now. Sometimes, well, it's not worth the returns you were getting, or something, right? So touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the return is great. Like if you buy it no money down, I bought the flip house. Both of them were 100% leverage or higher, and they're both turning a 5-figure profit. The problem is, if you have a 7-figure problem and a 5-figure profit, how many deals does it take to clear your problem? And that's what I'm facing on those deals. It's like I could do 10 more of those and I'm still not going to be out of my issue. So I could do 50 of them and I wouldn't be out of my issue. And worst part is it's taxable. So I'd rather just go find a value add deal. Like I just bought one in Ephrata, 430, cost basis is 470. It's worth 800 and going to get a loan on it for 550. So I get to pull out above cost basis and it's tax free and it will cash flow. So I'd rather go do more deals like that than just focus on a flip.
I am throwing some people's YouTube channels in the chat. They've just kind of got theirs off the ground. So Andy Lane 5 just got his first video out there. And I always wondered what Lane 5 was, but go check out his first video. He explains why his handle or channel is called Lane 5. Gus O'Feely is also starting his channel up a little bit. And he just had a good interview. Him and Emily got Steve Rosenberg on and really asked him a lot of tough questions about their business. So go check out Gus's channel. And I'll put Chris Wissing and Bitcoin Nick's channel also in there right after this. But I also want to touch on you and Justin Cambro are also going live on Wednesdays.
Yep.
And last week, you guys really were touching on something, and someone actually mentioned it in school. And I used kind of your analogy that you were talking about on that discussion with Justin. Someone was showing about paying down debt. They were talking about making extra payments every month to their mortgage. And you had a great way of kind of looking at it. I think Justin may have called it debt hammer and whatnot, but you were talking about like a fire and putting water on it, right? So you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I've never used that analogy before. I come up with most of my analogies on the fly, which is why half of them suck. So that one, the idea was, if let's say you have a debt, I'm just going to use this because I think I used a mug last week. So if this is your debt amount right here, this represents the fire. Does it make sense to, as you get a little bit of water, a little bit of extra water that you don't need to live, pour it on the fire and kill the debt, the fire? Or does it make sense to save up all the water in a different mug and just pour it on the fire to put it out? I'd rather do that. So The idea was to set money up in a side account, whether it's a money market or something that at least generates some return, and then whack the debt in its entirety when you can. So that's the way I approach my debt payoff, rather than just doing a little bit at a time on the fire, putting a little bit of water on it, save up the water, and then just whack it all at once.
I'm waiting to see some firefighter jokes come through the chat soon about that analogy. But I totally agree with that. I think the one pushback that I seem to always hear when someone does say that, though, is, like you're saying, put that money in a separate account, or growing somewhere else. Their thing is always, yeah, but what if now a deal comes up and I use that money, right? So that is always kind of the pushback, is that, yeah, I have this liquidity here now. I'm just going to use it if the next deal comes along, right? So
Well,
that's always the pushback.
then they're just not disciplined in knowing what they want. That's why a lot of my presentation was just focused around, what do you want? Be in Vegas? Most people don't know. So if you don't know what you want, then when a deal pops up, you're going to do it. That's why I was buying every deal under the sun. Okay, I was buying a deal a month, yeah, which is stupid because I didn't have any money. It's not the fact that I didn't have money that made it stupid. I thought that made it great, and I still think it makes it great. It can be done. But I didn't know what I wanted, so I kept on buying stuff. Now that I know what I want, I'm not going to go do something just to jeopardize that. Even though I'm doing some stuff right now that is definitely higher risk, like the development. My end goal is to have all new stuff. So it's like, you got to do it. If I got to do it if I'm going to do it. You got to play the game to play the game. But if someone's determined and that all they want is to have that free and clear property, if they truly know that, they're not going to go buy another deal.
Yeah, I think my 2 cents on that also is, if it, like you're saying, know what you want, and let's just say this particular deal does come across, and it fits all your check marks on your buy box and everything you're looking for, then okay, maybe you do buy it with the funds you were putting aside. But now you can sell a different asset possibly to pay off, like, let's say you only wanted 20 properties in your portfolio, or say, and now this perfect deal comes across. Okay, you get 21, but now maybe you sell off the least performing one. Now you're going to still be at 20, but now you can pay off maybe that property that you were trying to pay off with a lump sum, same thing from that sale transaction. So but like you're saying, you got to know the end goal, or what your goal is first, right? But I definitely feel like that water analogy, or the fire analogy, of making those payments every month, though, like, when once you make that payment, it's almost like now that money's behind a paywall also, right? And it's not changing your monthly payment in any way, right? You may pay down your principal, but that's not changing your monthly payment in any way. Another let's see, what other, we were talking about the AI sales. Ooh, do you think people kind of not crumble when numbers aren't hit from sales, or maybe acquiring a certain amount of properties per year, or they don't reach their goal, and maybe they see other people doing it? Do you think that is a big stress on them?
Yeah, it definitely is, because everybody wants to look like they're doing well, and there's some people that want to look like they're doing well rather than just doing well, which is interesting. But it it's just good not to play the comparison game unless you're playing the comparison game with yourself. Like, where was I a year ago versus now? It doesn't matter what Mark's doing or what Cody's doing. It matters what you're doing. So that I would look at where you were a year ago versus now, and you can play that comparison game. That way, it doesn't get too bad. Because there was someone, side note, on Facebook who is well known in the space, and they made a post that they've never gotten 150% unrealized gain in real estate. But they talk about doing all these deals. They've never got that. 2/3 of all my deals have hit that, and they're like better known than I am. So just because other people are doing more deals and they may be hitting certain metrics, it doesn't mean they're doing better than you. It was mind blowing to see that they had never hit that return, because that's like base hit for my stuff.
So now you make a great point. So now like you're saying, this bigger known person, was saying or putting out there they weren't getting these type of returns. Is sales just a nicer word for influencer?
If you're an influencer, you have to be good at sales. You don't
Yeah.
have to be an influencer though.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think like we touched on, Zuber talked about it, Cody Sanchez. But I think AI is definitely going to be a game changer. However, it is going to take some time. But I think, like we were saying earlier, it kind of just goes back to the same thing, right? It's all about ownership and owning assets, acquiring assets. And if you're just working a job and relying on that, then you're going to continually fall behind. And I think that's why we hope people make some moves and get on the ownership and whether it's real estate, stocks, but just ownership of assets. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Another thing, we've been having a fun discussion on this on a lot of the live show. I think you may have tuned in on one. I think you did answer it. It was Mr. Beast. One of his contestants won, and they got $5 million. And then the question was, would you take $5 million today or $50,000 a month for life?
Yeah, I'd take 5 million for sure.
Interesting. Well, like I said, we
Here's
we did we did
here's
say no wrong answers, right? I think it's a great situation to be in, no matter what.
I think risk adjusted, it's smarter to take the 5 if you know what you're doing with money. Because here's the problem: if you get 50 grand a month in income for life, what happens when people aren't watching his channel anymore because AI is more interesting and he doesn't have the money to pay that out? What's the counterparty risk in that agreement? I'd rather take the money off the table. It's just like if you ever won the lottery, it would be unwise to get a payout over time, even though you get a lot less getting it up front. So what happens when the casino goes out of business? You don't get your money. It's my understanding. If Mr. Beast doesn't have any more money because something changes, which I doubt that'll happen anytime soon, but crazier things have happened, then you don't get your payout anymore. So what you thought was secure, you're spending your money because you think you have it forever, disappears. So I'd take the money off the table and personally pay off a lot of debt, put a little bit more reserve in the bank, and chill.
Yeah, like we said, it's fun to see everyone's thought process because I think you would be the first one that kind of looked at it from that standpoint of thinking of it as Mr. Beast is paying the 50K a month, where if something was to happen to Mr. Beast, it would go away. So I think you're the only one that looked at it from that standpoint, where that payment, even though it's saying 50K a month for life, you're looking at the risk of it not being there because let's say Mr. Beast was the one actually paying it, right? So, like I said, it's super interesting how or where everyone's mind goes to at first. Like Nick, Bitcoin Nick looked at it from, well, if you get your wife, if you get divorced, if you get the 50 million or 5 million up front, she could be entitled to half if you got divorced, right? So that's kind of where it's funny how what everyone's first initial thought is on where they're going. Um, James Hillis says 5 million would allow you to buy and see the future further. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, no wrong. I like seeing how where everyone's mind goes to at first. Like some people are their first question is, what is it tax? Right? I think that's what you put on. I think that's what
Well,
you put on Facebook, right?
I said that, but both, assuming both are taxed, then I'd still take the 5 million.
Harrison Trade Better 99 says, call me a doomer, but I see AI following the path of the smartphone. Laughed at when released in 2007, but a must-have by 2015. Any thoughts on what Harrison is saying? But But what do you mean by doomer though? I guess I mean everyone might be using AI right in 10 years, but what is the doomer side of that? I guess that you're trying to say that you're gonna see. Are you saying there's gonna be no jobs? You think? Like I'm not sure. Yeah. Um, what other interesting one? And of course, where you're at in your journey, I think also matters too for the 5 million and 50K, right? So like someone
So,
like Zuber was just like, oh, I'll take the 50K.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and some guys are like, man, I could. Who if you blow 50K every month, right? You and the next month it appears again. You're like, poof, here it is again.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if it's guaranteed, but then who's it guaranteed by? Because again, like a payout's only as good as the guarantee. The other thing is the people at the way top don't want more income. So it's like I don't even know why you'd want that. It doesn't logic for me based on what I've been told by like super rich people to just want more of that. You could
Yeah,
simplify your universe a lot if you netted $2.5 million after tax. I
yeah,
feel like most people could, even if you just bought $2 million of property at a 5 cap, you get 100 grand a year backed by a real asset rather than by someone.
yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying too, right? In your situation, you would probably pay off whatever debt you've been talking about, and that would, you know, pretty much solve the majority of your stress or problems that you have, right? So in your situation like that, ideally takes a lot of the headaches off the table right off the bat, right? Um, let's see. Ooh, now when we talk about sales, and maybe people are always thinking about selling a product, selling a course or selling something. Do you think you got to be like a salesperson even when talking to your lenders or partners type of thing, like from that standpoint?
Yeah. Yeah. Sales is really important. Knowing, I mean, there's a few steps, right? You identify what you want, who has it, and how did they get it, and then how can I get it? And part of the how do I get it is a sales piece. So you got to convince people to help move you forward because it's too hard to do it by yourself. It's a team sport. So if not you, they'll go find someone else, or someone else will find them. So yeah, you got to put yourself out there and know how to communicate what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even on the accountability call this morning from the school community, someone was presenting kind of a template that they use to um, present to lenders, or keep track of their particular properties and things like that. So like if they were going to go for a refi, like they did submit that, right? Oh, this is the address, this is how much debt's on the property, what my rates at, my taxes, my insurance. And the same thing, that's your way of selling, like I know what I'm doing kind of thing, right? I'm not having to search for all this information that you might be asking me. It's kind of like, this is my sales pitch to you, that I'm a someone that you want to work with to some extent, right? You're kind of showing these lenders that this is not your first trip around, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's all important. Oh yeah. So do you think AI will increase average income or widen the gap between communicators and non-communicators?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the rich and the poor. Uh,
Well, I mean, you can go that route too if you want.
it's definitely going to widen the gap between efficient and non-efficient communicators. Yeah, because what's going to happen is the people that are already not efficient in communications are going to use it more to catch up, but they're really putting themselves behind because they're not practicing the skills, the little skills that they had in the first place. So, as much as you can, whether it's just working on your prompting, because if you can think through an intelligent prompt, you can probably come to your own conclusion without AI, probably. So, I just try and be as intentional as you can with the way you structure things. And if you can think through your own thoughts, you don't have to get thoughts from other people just to spit something out, then you will help decrease the gap.
Yeah, I think it's just getting comfortable using it. So what AI do you currently use?
I just use Chat GPT.
Is that the only one you've tried, or have you tried other ones? Or
It's the only one I've tried.
yeah, I see. Have you also? I know a lot of people are trying to implement that open claw and things with their AI usage and trying to build all these type of automations. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so far ChatGPT and Grok is kind of the only ones that I really use. And it is funny though how you see kind of two different responses to kind of the same question with Grok and ChatGPT. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's all I really got. Anything else you want to touch on the AI or sales being the skill for 2030? Like maybe what should someone start with practicing today to be kind of maybe elite by 2030 in sales, we should say.
Yeah, record yourself talking through your pitch. If you have a pitch, record yourself. See how you communicate. That's something I did in the beginning. I would just record myself pitching an idea, and then I'd listen to it and hear how awful it was, and then try again. So that's what I did do. And then as far as the other conversation on sales, I'll share a line I got from Grant Cardone years ago. And he said there's two types of people. There's people who get what they want when they want, and there's everybody else. I believe that's true. There's people who get what they want in life, and then there's everybody else who doesn't. And he basically created two buckets out of it. And part of it is the opportunities that you find, but really it comes down to communication, sales, going after it. So if you want to be closer to the bucket of being the person who gets what they want when they want, I'm trying to get there. I'm still pushing that direction. It's a daily grind of doing the work and identifying your goal and communicating in ways that move you closer to that goal.
Josh Burdick says he tend towards Grok for his AI, and then Hyder says great point. Compare, improve each AI. Yeah. I don't know. Did you get a chance to see the Three Amigos recent video talking about a Bailey Potts's kind of
Yeah.
a fight? Yeah, you did. Yes, everyone out there, if you haven't had a chance to go check out that video. So Brandon Potts's daughter, who was at the event, one of the teenagers taking in all the information, she had a little list she wrote down of kind of her big takeaways from the event, and the Three Amigos did kind of go over what that list contained. So it was a great video. What were your kind of quick takeaways on maybe what her list contained, and were you kind of hoping those are the kind of things that she would take away from the event?
Yeah, I liked it. And they posted that yesterday, or was that 2 days ago?
Yeah, I think yeah, over the weekend, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it or listened to it, I guess, when working out. But it was, I mean, it's good. I mean, I'd have to go through it because I don't take notes. I just listen through it.
Well,
But I
I
really did. I enjoyed the video.
yeah, so I think the one maybe related, maybe in your situation, right? You did lot of partnerships and thing in your journey so far, and I think the first thing she wrote, I don't know if it's her number one thing was the most important or just whatever random order, but the one thing they did discuss first was I think she mentioned invest in like your
Oh
own
yeah, do your
deals.
own deals, not other people's deals.
Yeah,
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 yeah, that's super important.
yeah. So I think I mean she probably got that from your, I would think, presentation. I'm thinking of who was maybe speaking or on stage. I would probably say that was probably from your presentation, if anyone's. I would probably have to say.
It's really
Um,
important to do your own deals. Don't make other people or don't let your life be lived through other people's mistakes. Like go learn your lessons, do your own deals. I'm seeing a lot of people right now that invested in other people's deals and are losing everything right now, all the invested capital. And the person who ran it, who doesn't have money, is just saying, well, you can probably save it if you add more money into it, but they can't do it themselves because they didn't do their own deals. They're just raising money and getting a fraction of deals. So I I believe it's important to have control of your universe, and it's hard to do that if you're giving your money to other people.
Yeah, I mean, my only experience with that is one syndication I did invest in, and yeah, pretty much to your point, right? I mean, most of the investors lost all their investment capital, and same thing, right? You know, they're trying to capital raise, and I think my one big takeaway from that, and I think it was something a lot of the guys discuss, is if they were gonna do a syndication or invest in something like that again, they would probably try to see that there's big players investing in it. So if there was a needed to have some more capital, you have like these family offices or things that could put more capital in, and it wouldn't affect them too much. Where, you know, a lot of these syndications, it was like, oh yeah, you know, family friend, this and this, you know, you got 50K here, and then now when it's time to raise extra capital, a lot of guys are, oh, you know, I don't want to put any extra money into this, right? But if you have some big players in there, then you know possibly this deal can kind of weather the storm, maybe. From your channel, Hot Shots 4049 is asking again, Cody, do you think trying to attain an MLO license earlier in your journey would have added significant value?
No, it probably would have been a distraction. Yeah, probably would have been. Right now, I'm doing it for the experience. I really want to learn the process, and just going through the courses, I've been learning a lot. Realize how much you don't know about something, right? So when I did my real estate license course, I didn't really learn a lot of applicable information. Doing this, I'm learning stuff. It's really cool. So had I done that in the beginning, that would have distracted me from the business I was building. Now that that business is established, learning the little intricate parts of the process, I view as really important.
Maybe like how long is this to get attain the license, or how long are these courses? Are they online, or what?
It's 22 hours of course material, and then I have to take some tests. There's some ambiguity because I did the course. Oh, I'm doing it right now. I'm about halfway through. In the beginning, it said, this will be instructor led. I haven't met an instructor yet. It's just going through it and timing it.
AI, see?
Yeah, I guess. But it's so weird. Because I was like, crud, I'm just going to be in this for a few hours a day. I'm going to have to sit in front of the computer and be recorded. And man, that is not what it is. But it doesn't let you go ahead, by the way. It's like you have to spend 3 minutes and 29 seconds on this page. And I read it in a minute and I understand it. I'm like, okay, I guess
That brings up kind of like how the our fire department, a lot of the fire departments now are having those online courses or instruction things that we have to do. And yeah, when it first came out, you could you could fast forward the whole thing and just hit click. But now that you gotta let the whole timer thing go.
yeah.
But Josh Burdick is asking, can you explain what that course is? So what is MLO, maybe?
So mortgage lending originator. So basically, I will have the ability, once it's done, and I equate it to like hanging the license with the real estate brokerage, but basically I associate with a lending institution, so some local group in Moses Lake, and then I'll be able to help folks out in Washington State optimizing, figuring out the right program for them. And the reason I wanted to do it is because on a lot of my deals, I would be selling a property as a broker, and I sell some residential multifamily to people as a broker, and I would have to give a creative workaround to get the loan funded, tweaking like what program works for this specific deal. How could we make it work? Because everyone's going to tell you how you can't make a deal work. You'll never buy a deal if you listen to those folks. So figuring out how to fit it into the right program to get the right deal done for someone who the typical lender is not going to know what to do. After doing that again and again and again, I'm like, I could help people if I got the education on that piece, I could help people figure out the right program for them, get them cash out or get them the deal. And then I'm not going to I can't broker it and do the loan. So my thought is I can help them with the loan, and then we can go find a bigger deal for them to buy. And then I'd be the broker. I've come to find out there's a bajillion disclosures if you do a license. So it's like, I'll just do one and then I'll do the other. But I do want the info on that. So that's what I'm learning.
All right, very cool. All Nighter Hider says syndications should have management with successful history through market cycles, and investors should know their exit before entering. I'm stuck in a REIT because I never minded the exit. Yeah, and I think Zuber has a regular guest on, Jonathan Twombly, who does a lot of syndications. And that was kind of one of his things. Like, he was, during that period where a lot of syndications were popping up, he wasn't doing anything because he was like, none of these really pencil out for me, right? And he's been doing it for a while, so he was probably more on the conservative, and had a lot of different risk management. And a lot of these new syndication operators, like you're saying, they probably haven't gone through market cycles, and that's where a lot of them were getting burned. And yeah, we'll see what plays out, and see if a lot of opportunities come that way. But that's all I really got. Like I said, if anyone, Cody is still streaming, jump over to his channel. Please subscribe and like. He also goes live streaming on Wednesdays with Justin Canberra. So you're going to have to multitask, because I also live stream at the same time. So just hop back and forth, subscribe, like. You got the ladies of ORAT going on that time. So there's a lot of stuff going on Wednesdays. I will be back tomorrow, same time, with Brandon Potts. He wants to talk about clarity is the way to increase, or clarity helps with returns. So that's what he wants to discuss tomorrow. Steven says the FD online courses are definitely, yeah, you can't press next anymore. Yeah, they figured it out. So firefighters are always figure out the easiest way to get something done. So when it first came out, it was just like, turn it on, go take your nap, or just fast forward it, hit next. Wandering Doc. Yes, I always see him in Dion's live. He says he nearly strictly invests in REITs. Huh, interesting. All right. Anything else you want to throw out there, Cody, before we wrap things up?
All good on my end.
All right. Everyone, like I said, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, go jump over to Cody's channel, subscribe. I'll be back with him next Monday. But if not, I will see everyone tomorrow, same time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.